The Five Kage Summit Arc gets a lot of hate in the Naruto community. Many people say that this arc shouldn't even exist, that it's boring, that it has no purpose in the story, and this is simply wrong. This is a very solid arc. And this video is essentially going to be me defending the Five Kage Summit Arc and explaining why it's very good from a storytelling perspective. But first we have to determine why people tend to hate this arc. Now, the first reason is that it comes right after the Pain Arc, which is one of the favorite arcs among the fandom. Many people have that arc as their #1 Naruto arc, and for good reason. The Pain Arc is an amazing arc, and we don't have to say much about that. So the Five Kage Summit coming directly after the arc, which felt very climactic, may seem a little bit underwhelming, and because of the heavy contrast, people just say, well, this arc sucks, it wasn't like the Pain Arc, so it's just complete garbage. Another reason why people don't like this arc coming right after the Pain Arc is because there was an immense number of filler episodes in between the Pain Arc and the Five Kage Summit, which was almost unbearable to go through. And yes, this is much more of an issue for people like me who were back in the day watching the anime week after week as it was coming out, so the filler episodes were much worse because you couldn't just skip them. However, there is still a mark that those filler episodes left in between the Pain Arc and the Five Kage Summit. We thought the story was never going to move anymore because there was just so much filler, and because the Pain Arc was so impactful, everybody was expecting the series to be extremely amazing after the fillers were done. And when they didn't get that, they were a little disappointed because yes, the Five Kage Summit Arc doesn't have the heights the Pain Arc had, but that doesn't mean it was a bad arc. There were amazing character moments in the Five Kage Summit Arc, great fights as well, and the plot moved in a very satisfying way. Another problem with the Five Kage Summit Arc is that people tend to not really rewatch or reread this arc. A lot of people either stop watching Naruto after the Pain Arc or just skip over this arc entirely, only have reading/watching it the first time they saw the series, which means they will not remember exactly what happens in this arc very well, so they're just gonna say, yeah, I didn't like this arc very much, mostly because they don't remember it. And possibly the final reason as to why people don't like this arc very much is because it's a very Sasuke-centric arc. Naruto's pretty much a secondary character in this arc. Yes, he does do some stuff, but Sasuke is definitely the focus, and Naruto's not even the secondary focus. Like, Sasuke was definitely the main character, but then the Five Kage were more important than Naruto himself in this particular arc, which may throw some people off because usually when Sasuke became the center of attention in the Naruto series, Naruto still had a very important part to play, such as in the Sasuke retrieval arc. Sasuke also had a lot of focus during the Itachi Pursuit mission, and Naruto was definitely more secondary in that particular situation, but the Itachi Pursuit mission had Itachi, which means people are gonna love it by default because Itachi is a very overrated character. I like Itachi, okay? I like Itachi, I just think people tend to overhype the guy a little bit, because people for some reason love the Itachi versus Sasuke fight, but hate the Sasuke versus Deidara fight, even though those are two amazing fights. Yeah, the reason for that is that there's a section of the fandom that just doesn't like Sasuke at all, even though Sasuke is the best character of the series. And whenever he has the spotlight, people say, well, we're focusing on Sasuke, let's go back to Naruto, Sasuke is not interesting at all. So for those people, the Five Kage Summit Arc is gonna suck because it focuses on Sasuke quite a lot. And for this mesh of reasons, people tend to not like the Five Kage Summit Arc very much. But as I've been saying, this is a very good arc. The first really smart thing that he does is to introduce every single Kage and a bit of the backstory about their villages. Think about this for a second. The only other major village, apart from the Leaf of course, that we got any information or screen time from was the Sand Village, because first they were in the tuning exams, and then there was the Kazekage Rescue arc where Naruto literally went to the Sand Village. So yeah, technically we got a decent amount of stuff on the Sand Village, but the other 3 of the 5 major villages were very much lacking in screen time and relevant characters, and, well, they are great pieces of the Naruto universe. We got a small glimpse of the Cloud Village and the Raikage when Sasuke went to capture B, but it wasn't that much, and we had never saw the Mist Village or the Stone Village and their Kage before the Five Kage Summit. I mean, I guess we saw the Mist Village in very brief flashbacks for Zabuza and Kimimaro, but they were so small and unsubstantial towards the Mist Village that we might as well not have seen anything about the village itself. And the Stone Village was the most mysterious one before the Five Kage Summit because we just had absolutely no idea about any of them essentially. The only time we saw stone ninjas before was in Obito/Minato/Kakashi's flashback when they were in the Third Great Ninja War, and they were just fodder for Minato, Kakashi, and Obito to kill, so it was very surprising to see that Tsuchikage is this very old, short guy that has a bad back. That was a good and interesting subversion. When we see the Mist Village for the first time in the Five Kage Summit Arc, there's this extremely old guy that scaring the Mizukage hat, and first we think, oh, okay, this old guy is the Mizukage, I guess it figures, right? Mizukage, old, it makes sense. But no, he gives the hat to a very good-looking woman, and then Meiterumi is introduced, the fifth Mizukage. And then, of course, there's Onoki and his bad back problems. We never really saw a character having something like this in Naruto before. And yes, it's mostly played for laughs, especially in the Five Kage Summit Arc, but in the War Arc, his bad back becomes a real issue, and when Onoki manages to overcome that, and literally stops a meteor the Madara threw at the Alliance, that feels very epic and cathartic. And introducing the Five Kage here, having them interact in a meaningful way, is intelligent because you were going to introduce them in the War Arc anyways, because the entire premise behind the War Arc is that the entire world, aka the 5 major nations, are going to join forces against the remaining forces of the Akatsuki so that they can save the world from the Infinite Tsukiyomi. And if everybody's joining the war, of course you're gonna have to show their Kage and their most respected ninjas. So showing them in a previous arc, developing them before the War Arc, is an interesting idea, because if you had to develop the Kage and the retinues in the War Arc itself, which is already pretty messy and a little bit convoluted to say the least, it wouldn't have worked very well. Having the Five Kage together, I mean, I guess Danzo had left at that point, but still, it was a good way to make Obito declare war after he tries to even convince the Kage that, yeah, you should just accept the Infinite Tsukiyomi plan because everybody's gonna be happy, so let me just cast this jutsu, give me the 8 and the 9 tails and we're good. Obviously, the Five Kage didn't accept that, but Obito tried nonetheless, but we're gonna get into his war declaration later in the video. Now, as I said before, Sasuke is the main character of this arc, and he starts the arc going towards the Leaf Village, intending on destroying it, because he wants to get revenge on the village for treating Itachi the way they did, torturing him, essentially forcing him to kill his entire clan, and also, you know, getting revenge on the village for destroying his entire family. Unfortunately for Sasuke, Obito informs him that Pain has already destroyed the village in the Pain arc. So there's nothing left for Sasuke to destroy, but then Obito tells him, but Danzo is going to the Five Kage Summit, and because you failed to capture the 8 tails, his slip through your fingers, Sasuke, you're gonna have to go and kill Danzo. Which was not something Sasuke was against, because he wanted to kill Danzo anyway, so yeah, let's kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Team Taka heads towards the Five Kage Summit where, well, essentially the strongest ninjas of the entire planet are there, together. Not the greatest place for you to try and invade. That's a very bold strategy. Now, of course, Sasuke's intention wasn't to raid the Five Kage Summit the way he eventually did. He wanted to assassinate Danzo. He didn't want anything to do with the other Kage. And while Sasuke infiltrates the place, which is a pretty tense section of the arc, we're getting the Five Kage meeting. And obviously they don't really trust each other. The Akatsuki has done a lot of damage towards having trust at all amongst themselves. The Raikage wants to kill the Akatsuki and wants to be very aggressive in everything he does. Onoki's too shady, and he used the Akatsuki too much. He's jaded and he doesn't really believe in a bond between the villages at all. The Mizukage is kind of over her head because she's kind of a new Kage and doesn't have much power because the Akatsuki literally was birthed inside the Mist Village. Gar is the only one with actual good intentions. The Megis the Mizukage also had good intentions. She was trying to unite them, but Gaara was the only one making any progress towards that, and he wasn't succeeding. And obviously Danzo was just trying to manipulate Mifune with his Kuromatsu Kami into making him the leader of the Shinobi Alliance that would eventually come out of this meeting. Unfortunately, Ao caught Danzo's Genjutsu on Mifune because he saw Shisui's eye back in the day, so he knew what to look for, and Danzo's plan to become the supreme leader was thwarted. This creates a lot of tension between the villages, which is important. If they're all friends in the beginning of the arc, then, well, what's the point of having them convening here? This is one of the times where the Naruto universe feels alive, where Kishimoto actually put some efforts into world building. Okay, all these villages had history together, a very bloody history, and putting in their differences aside can be very difficult from time to time. All the Kage had different personalities and they all had goals, different goals to say the least, and working together would be something very difficult, so this keeps the tension in the story high and it makes the eventual union of the five nations more cathartic. Even though I would say that in the war arc they could have explored this tension aspect much better between the villages themselves. It only took Gaara one speech for every single shinobi in the world to forget everything that happened in the past. It seems a little bit, far-fetched. But at least the tension is acknowledged here. Now, Zetsu ruined Sasuke's plan of infiltrating the Five Kage Summit to assassinate Danzo when he just jumps into the conference and announces Sasuke Uchiha is in the building. Let's go and find Sasuke. Zetsu emerges in the middle of their desks in such a funny way. I always like that scene, especially in the anime when he's like screaming, where Sasuke's here, go find him, and then the Raikage just chokes him and kills White Zetsu. I mean, he doesn't kill him, but it's a good scene, which prompts the Raikage to go after Sasuke because, well, for him, Sasuke captured his younger brother, and he can't have that. He wanted to destroy Sasuke. And it's interesting to see Obito and Zetsu's motivations here. Obviously, Zetsu did that because Obito wanted him to prompt Sasuke's Mangekyou Sharingan to evolve by throwing 5 Kage level opponents against him. Yeah, that's a really good way to make the Mangekyou Sharingan evolve, but it can be very dangerous too. And this may inadvertently actually unify the 5 major nations because it literally showed the threat the Akatsuki posed right next to them. If they were willing to attack the 5 Kage Summit where all the greatest ninjas of the main nations were, well, together in the same place, then, they would do anything, right? And it's at this moment when Zetsu betrays Sasuke and Team Taka that Sasuke pretty much snaps. And this is an interesting arc because we have both Sasuke and Naruto, the two main characters, snapping in different ways, but they do. Now, Sasuke wasn't really the guy that wanted to kill people before. He always went out of his way to not kill people. Of course, this began to change after he found out the truth about Itachi, but we never really saw him, slaughtering people beforehand. Even when he invaded the Cloud Village, he didn't kill those ninjas that he found before he fought B, he just incapacitated them. But in here, after he's found out and he learns the betrayal from Black Zetsu, all that anger boiled up, the vengeful nature that Sasuke had, and the lust to kill Danzo, everything came crashing down. Zetsu did succeed into making Sasuke very angry, and when he showed himself to the samurai, he says, well, if you come at me, I'm gonna kill you guys. You can see that he still had a little bit of morality here because he's saying, I'm not gonna go and just slaughter you out of the blue, but if you attack me, I'm not gonna hold back. And yeah, the samurai attack Sasuke, they don't really give too much credit to Sasuke's threats, and Sasuke ends up slaughtering the samurai. Which, by the way, the samurai is one of the not-so-great things about the Five Kage Summit Arc. The samurai concept in a shinobi world in the Naruto series is something very weird because all of a sudden there is an entire new category of warrior-like people, and it could have worked. It's just that Kishimoto does absolutely nothing with the samurai in the series. They're just there in the Five Kage Summit, and then they appear a little bit in the war arc, but they don't do anything important. And their jutsus are also extremely bland and boring. They just use chakra swords, and that's it. I mean, I guess their armors are kind of cool, but nothing comes from the samurai in the series. You could have easily made the Land of Iron be another ninja nation that's neutral and where the Five Kage Summit would be held, but it's whatever. I mean, it's not that big of a deal. Sasuke slaughters the samurai and the Raikage arrive. And I have to say, the Sasuke/Taka versus Raikage and Chi and Darui fight is actually a pretty good one. Sasuke dodging the fastest man alive, landing a Chidori, and then using his Mangekyou Sharingan for the first time with a Susanoo is pretty cool to see. And I know this is a trope, because Darui says, nobody has survived the Liger Bomb before, when the Raikage uses the Liger Bomb against Sasuke, and then Sasuke survives, meaning that, oh, Sasuke is unlike anybody the Raikage has faced before. This is kind of what it's implied, right? And yes, I know it's a cliche to say that in a series, oh, nobody survived this attack before, but I like that particular cliche. I'm fine with that. And then Sasuke goes on to show his new Mangekyou Sharingan ability, Enton, Inferno style, and it's amazing. The concept of Amaterasu/Dark Flames in Naruto is already great, but then Sasuke gets an improved version! So Sasuke literally has the two coolest jutsus in the Naruto series, Chidori and Amaterasu, and he's using them a lot in this arc. What's not to love? Sasuke and the Raikage eventually stalemate each other, and there's a big debate on who would win the fight if Gaara didn't interrupt them. It would have been Sasuke, the Raikage would have been burned to a crisp, or they would have tied and both died, but the Raikage would have certainly died. And Gaara's interruption here is very interesting because Sasuke and Gaara, they have history together. They fought in the Chunin exams, and Gaara saw the same eyes in him. Eyes that lusted for power, that wanted to kill. And Gaara now, after he's been rehabilitated by Naruto, he sees them even more pronounced on Sasuke because, and this is the most interesting thing about Sasuke in this arc, he's falling apart mentally, but because of that, his Mangekyou Sharingan is becoming more powerful. This is the duality of the Uchiha clan and the curse that they've been bestowed. And it's such a great scene when Gaara confronts Sasuke and almost tries to talk no jutsu Sasuke, but obviously it doesn't work, and then you can just see a tear streaming down Gaara's face as his sand explodes and he attacks Sasuke. And he's joined by Temari, Darui, and Kankuro in that attack. And it's a really, really epic scene. The first time we see a Sasuke corporeal Susanoo. I remember the first time I watched the anime and that happened, I was, oh my god, what is going on? Sasuke has a Susanoo like a complete thing too. It's purple. I remember it was very hyped the first time I saw Sasuke Susanoo with those horns. That was a cool shot. Sasuke slips away and then he goes towards Danzo, who flees the Five Kage Summit because he is afraid of Sasuke, dude. Now Sasuke has a brief exchange against Mei and then Inoki quote-unquote kills him with his particle style. And that's a really good way to foreshadow an extremely powerful jutsu, particle style. The jutsu that's supposedly, you know, to atomize your opponent. And we find out later in the war arc that this jutsu melts through Susanoo's and destroys them completely. It's pretty crazy. It also looks very different and worthy of a Kage, and well, when Inoki quote-unquote kills Sasuke here, it's pretty shocking, but of course, Obito saves him. And then he shows himself to the Five Kage, tells the Five Kage about the entire plan behind the war. He needs to capture the tail beasts to form the 10 Tails and cast Infinite Tsukuyomi, a world of perfect dreams where everybody's gonna be happy and they're not gonna be losers anymore. And when the Five Kage obviously don't agree with that, he declares the Fourth Great Ninja War. Now, some people say this was a pretty stupid move from Obito, and I agree. It was actually pretty stupid. If Obito had been quieter, he wouldn't have united the Five Kage nearly as much as they became united after Five Kage Summit. He could have actually gone with Kisame to capture B, and then he could have gone with Kisame to capture Naruto as well as a duo. Much more effective to fight in teams against a single opponent. But no, he declares war, and I'm fine with that because Obito is a very impulsive and dumb character, so it's very much in character for him to declare war against the world, even though he has only an army of fodder white Zetsu. Let's be real, if Kabuto didn't join Obito in the war arc, Obito would have been stomped. So he was way over his head declaring war, but it makes sense for the character. And the scene when that happens is pretty iconic and very good looking, especially in the sub when we have the real voice of Madara Uchiha declaring the war.
ここに宣戦を布告する。今度は戦場で会おう。
Obviously, this is not the only stuff happening during this arc, because Naruto also has some stuff to do. First, before the Five Kage even go to the summit, Naruto faces Kamui, Omoi, and Samui, 3 shinobi from the Cloud Village that are trying to get answers from the Leaf Village about this Sasuke guy who just captured one of their tail beasts and a very important shinobi for them. And they essentially want to go and kill Sasuke. He's become too much of a problem for everybody to deal with because, yeah, Sasuke hadn't done anything too bad. I mean, he joined the Orochimaru, but he killed Itachi, and he never really went against Leaf Village. But invading a massive village like the Cloud Village and capturing a tail beast for the Akatsuki, wearing Akatsuki robes, pretty bad thing. You wouldn't want your shinobi doing that, and everyone in the Leaf Village agrees that Sasuke has become a problem that they cannot turn a blind eye anymore. They cannot just, yeah, Naruto, go ahead, bring Sasuke back, we're gonna wait for it. No, they had to eliminate Sasuke, and even Sakura understands that. She cries a lot when she realizes that must be done, but she takes it upon herself to do it. And he doesn't want anybody interfering because she feels this is her own responsibility for telling Naruto to bring Sasuke back, and then Naruto promises Sakura, yes, I'll bring him back, and this is back in part 1. She feels very guilty that Naruto was put under such pressure and had to carry such a burden that he would never give up on Sasuke because Sakura asked him. Now, of course, Naruto was not doing that just because Sakura asked him. He wanted to bring Sasuke back because Sasuke was his best friend, but Sakura believed she was at fault, and so she intended on killing Sasuke herself because she knew Naruto wouldn't have that. Naruto would interfere, and for Sakura, killing Sasuke in that moment was the only possible alternative to even save the real Sasuke, the Sasuke from the past, the guy that was a good person from the evil monster that he had become. And while this is happening, Kaoru is really mad at Naruto because Sasuke captured her sensei and she pummels Naruto into a pulp. Naruto lets her punch him non-stop because he wants, yes, unleash your hatred against me, but don't go after Sasuke, don't kill Sasuke, I need to save him. He's essentially sacrificing herself for his friend, for Sasuke, the man he still believes can be saved. And he tries to gather the hatred and turn it against himself instead of them going after Sasuke. It doesn't work, but Naruto is not gonna give up just yet because he's gonna go after the Raikage to plead for Sasuke's life with the help of Kakashi and Yamato. Meanwhile, Sakura and a couple of other ninjas from the Leaf are gonna go and try to find Sasuke to kill him, so a lot of things happen at the same time. Naruto pleads for Sasuke's life, bowing to the Raikage, and we just can see the sheer loyalty Naruto had to Sasuke. Some people say, well, this is a bad character here because Naruto should have given up on Sasuke. He's too much trouble now, but this is not what the story is about. Naruto literally tells Pain, give up trying to making me give up, as he defeated him, so he's not gonna give up on Sasuke. Even though literally everybody else in the village had at this point. Sakura, Kakashi, they're all like, I gotta go and kill Sasuke. Unfortunately, the Raikage doesn't listen to Naruto. However, Naruto doing that was actually important because later on, after Obito declares war against them, Gaara tells the Raikage and the others that, well, because Danzo left, they should actually trust Kakashi, the copy ninja, instead of Danzo, and kind of treat Kakashi as the Hokage. And then the Raikage remembers Kakashi talking to him as well as Naruto was pleading, because Kakashi was actually saying, look at this man, he just saved his village, he's a hero, and he's pleading for Sasuke's life. You should at least respect his feelings, shouldn't you? And of course, the Raikage didn't listen because the Raikage is very stubborn, but that made an impression on the Raikage. Then there's the infamous scene when Sakura declares her love for Naruto. A fake love confession, but it's something Sakura was trying to do to protect him. Yes, it was not morally correct, but it's an interesting character moment at least. Think about this. She knew Naruto would never accept Sakura going after Sasuke to kill him, and she knew she has been a very big burden for Naruto all this time. Naruto's had a crush on Sakura forever, and accepting his love, even in a fake way, was something that Sakura could do to soothe him. Naruto obviously had none of that, and he says, "I hate people that lie to themselves." A pretty interesting, good line. And then Sakura has to go and kill Sasuke herself. But not before! Gaara shows up where Naruto was staying, and he tells Naruto that Sasuke invaded the Five Kage Summit and did all those crazy things, attacking the Five Kage, almost killing them, killing a lot of samurai. And this is when Naruto snaps in the arc, because he literally has a mental breakdown and passes out from a panic attack. And yeah, the weight of the world was crushing Naruto in this scene. He just took a massive beating for Sasuke, he pled for Sasuke's life beneath the Raikage, and Sasuke is doing even worse things than he could have imagined. Not to mention that Naruto had just found out the truth about the Uchiha clan because Obito conveniently told him and Kakashi about what Itachi had to do to the Uchiha clan and what Sasuke was going, so Naruto was actually, okay, this is really messed up. And he could understand Sasuke from a particular angle, but even still, it didn't make Naruto feel any better about what's going on. And also, having Sakura lie to Naruto saying that she loved him and that realizing Sakura was gonna go and try to kill Sasuke herself was terrible. So you understand why Naruto passes out, and it's not every day that you see your shonen main character having a panic attack. This is a very interesting scene. And then we get Sasuke versus Danzo. This fight's really good. It's one of those fights that even the Sasuke haters root for Sasuke because people tend to hate Danzo even more, but Sasuke and Danzo are both great characters. There is a difference between a character being morally corrupt and evil to being a bad character. This is two very different things. And as always, in Naruto Shippuden, Sasuke gets the best fights. And this is not an exception here. Izanagi makes the fight very interesting, and it makes Sasuke approach it in a different way. Some people say that Izanagi was something that Kishimoto pulled out of his rear, but no, actually he set up Izanagi in the Danzo fight so that he could use it later and make it make sense. Yeah, he eventually broke the rules with Izanami, but Izanami is not Izanagi. Izanami sucks. Izanagi is interesting. It sacrifices your eye for a period of immortality, and you need Hashirama cells to activate it, which makes sense. When you combine the chakra of Indra and Ashura into the chakra of Hagoromo, you can tap into a small part of the power that Hagoromo had in the creation of all things, which allowed you to cast a genjutsu on yourself that shapes reality. And it's a good thing that Kishimoto used this jutsu in the antagonist of that particular fight, the guy that we were not rooting for, because it is OP, and if Sasuke had this jutsu, for example, it wouldn't be as interesting to watch him. But Danzo, that was a very clever way to introduce the jutsu into the series, and the way Sasuke defeats Danzo is also very good. Using strategy, putting him under a genjutsu. People say that genjutsu is underappreciated in the Naruto series, but genjutsu is used a decent amount of time in Naruto Shippuden. It's just because Sasuke is the one doing a lot of genjutsu, and a lot of people don't like Sasuke, so they say, nobody uses genjutsu in the series. Did you watch the Sasuke fights in Naruto Shippuden? Sasuke versus Deidara had genjutsu, a lot of it. Sasuke versus Itachi, they literally exchanged genjutsu for 6 chapters. Even in the Five Kage Summit proper, Sasuke was using genjutsu to incapacitate Shi and to counter Shi's own genjutsu, and then in the fight against Danzo, Sasuke wins the fight because of his genjutsu. He makes Danzo think that he still had some time left of Izanagi because he cast a simple genjutsu to make Danzo think one of his eyes was still open in his arm, meaning that he still had Izanagi left, but he didn't, so Sasuke's attack actually hurt him in the end. And we can see in this fight against Danzo that Sasuke was slipping further and further into darkness. Danzo, the man who toyed with Itachi's life and made him kill the Uchiha clan, that made Sasuke extremely mad. And this was expertly shown by Sasuke's Susanoo evolution. Every time he passed a certain threshold of being consumed by darkness, his Susanoo became more powerful, eventually evolving into the final form, but that comes in the fight against Kakashi. And then, when Sasuke thinks he's won the fight, no, Danzo captures Karin to use her as a hostage, and Sasuke's like, Karin, do not move. And then we get one of the best panels in the Naruto series. It's a double page spread of Sasuke And that mad face of his with one Mangekyou Sharingan, black and white, weird wisps of energy around him, and he pierces Karin and Danzo together, completely throwing away his comrades. Now he's already thrown away Suigetsu and Jugo, just leaving them in the Five Kage Summit place. But now he literally killed Karin. I mean, she doesn't die, but he might as well have killed her because he didn't care about her at all. Karin, who had saved Sasuke's life countless times and put her own life on the line for his, he just discarded her like nothing. And Karin has been saying, well, Sasuke's chakra, I don't recognize it anymore. It's so much more powerful and dense and colder during this entire arc. She said this several different times. She even said that Sasuke's chakra was more intense and colder than when he used to have the Curse Mark Stage 2 activated back in the day. So we just saw Sasuke slipping further and further into this state, being consumed by the power and the anguish of the Mangekyou Sharingan. And Danzo's death is a really interesting death. He actually gets a hero's death in the end of the day. The way he goes down trying to get Sasuke while he goes is very heroic from a certain standpoint. And he has this very tragic end where, well, he actually cared about the good of the Leaf Village. He wanted to protect the village until the end. Yes, his methods were twisted, but he died trying to protect them. And he even thinks, Hiruzen, did I do it right? It's finally my time to save the village. And he goes, and Danzo is a great character, man. After that, Sakura shows up, and she cannot bring herself to kill Sasuke. It's an interesting moment because Sasuke tells Sakura, okay, go kill Karin here to prove your loyalty to me, and then I can accept what you're saying, because Sakura tried to fool Sasuke, saying that she wanted to join him. The same shtick she tried to use when Sasuke was about to leave the village back in part 1. She was trying to do the same thing here. Bring me with you, Sasuke. Use me, whatever. And then, as Sakura was shaking and trying to think what to do, not being able to kill Sasuke, Sasuke came from behind and tried to Chidori her. And then Kakashi comes in and saves her. But that's the thing, Kakashi arrives, and this is a pretty big reunion because Kakashi hadn't seen Sasuke ever since he left the village. He wasn't in the Tenchi Bridge arc when Sasuke was reintroduced in Shippuden because he was in the hospital. So they're seeing each other again after 4 years. Sasuke was Kakashi's protege. This is a big deal story-wise, and Kakashi even thinks back to when Hiruzen had to fight against Orochimaru, his former pupil. What did you have to go through? Fight to kill your former student, that's not an easy thing. And Kakashi and Sakura, they still try to negotiate with Sasuke, try to bring him back somehow, and then Sasuke says, well, you can, just bring everybody back, make the Uchiha clan alive again, and I'll gladly return to the Leaf Village. And then he laughs maniacally. It's the classic Sasuke laughter, and yeah, you can see at this point that Sasuke really is gone. Now, the greatest missed opportunity in this arc, and this is a lot of waste potential to be honest, is that Kakashi versus Sasuke is a very lackluster fight. This should have been a climactic confrontation between the two characters. It should have been way more than it was in the series. Maybe they were hurrying Kishimoto up, saying, you have to finish this arc. You just had the Danzo versus Sasuke fight, which was the climax of the arc. Don't linger anymore here, Kishimoto, move along. But Kakashi versus Sasuke, you should have done more with that fight. They're two of the most popular characters in the series. They're two of the most important characters in the series, if you're not counting Naruto. And their reunion feels a little rushed and lackluster, which is very unfortunate. But Sasuke does awaken his completed form of the Susanoo against Kakashi, and he uses a Susanoo arrow that Kakashi has to Kamui away, otherwise he would have been killed by it. And what prompts Sasuke to awaken his completed Susanoo is the fact that Kakashi was using a Sharingan. Something that belongs to the Uchiha clan, and for Sasuke that was sacrilege. Disrespecting his dead clan, using their jutsu, just like Danzo was. In Sasuke's eye, Kakashi was doing the same thing. Even though Obito gave the Sharingan willingly, Sasuke had none of that, and so his hatred matured enough for him to complete his Susanoo. Unfortunately for Sasuke, he ran out of chakra, and then Sakura came from behind to pierce him with a kunai, finish him for good, but she couldn't. She couldn't bring herself to do it. And honestly, I think she should have gone for it. It would have made Sakura's character more interesting if she actually tried to kill Sasuke for real and not, you know, chickened out. Now, of course, Sasuke couldn't die here, but you could have made Sakura have the intention to kill instead of freezing in place. That would have been cooler for Sakura's character. It would have given her more resolve. But still, what we got wasn't too bad. Naruto saves Sakura because Sasuke snatches her kunai and tries to slash her instead. And then the reunion of Team 7 is complete. Naruto and Sasuke have a brief exchange where they clash Chidori and Rasengan, and just like Sasuke told Naruto in the Valley of the End, they can understand each other just by trading blows. And the interesting thing about this exchange here is that unlike Sakura and Kakashi who were just Naruto, there's nothing you can do. Sasuke is not the person you knew. He's something else now, a being of hatred. Naruto didn't accept this. He told Sasuke that he understood him because he felt the hatred of the village back in the day when everyone ostracized him for being the Jinchuriki of the Nine Tails. Sasuke even tells Naruto, I'm gonna kill everybody in the Leaf Village, including you, because of what they did to Itachi and the Uchiha clan, completely consumed by hatred. And he even tells Naruto, you're either gonna be the hero who stopped the menace for the Leaf Village, or you're gonna die just like everybody else. And then Naruto says, so wait, Sasuke, do not destroy the village, because when you come for the village, I'll be there to fight against you. And then I want you to direct all your hatred against me. Even after all that, Naruto understands Sasuke and wants to somehow try to help him. And he also understands that if they fight for real, they're both going to die. Now, this is supposed to be a build-up for their final confrontation where they're about to fight and you're supposed to fear for their lives. I don't think anybody fell for it. Nobody thought they were both going to die in their final confrontation. But Naruto being able to understand Sasuke is very interesting here, because nobody does. Even the fandom doesn't understand Sasuke's character. But Naruto does, because the bond they share, the only bond Sasuke had left at this point was Naruto's bond. He had cut ties with Taka, he had, left the village, he killed Orochimaru. His entire family's dead. I mean, I guess you could say he had a bond with Obito, but the entire relationship between Sasuke and Obito was just Sasuke trying to use Obito and vice versa. They never had anything resembling camaraderie. So Naruto was everything Sasuke had, and Naruto was willing to let himself be killed by Sasuke and killing him in the process as well, so that in their next life they could be together. Yeah, Naruto wouldn't give up. I mean, he told Pain he's not gonna give up, so he's not gonna give up on Sasuke either. Seriously, if you haven't watched or read the Five Kage Summit Arc in a while, go do so. It's a really good arc. And subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. This helps me out a lot. Like the video to help me against the YouTube algorithm. Let's win this war. And watch this other video right here for more cool Naruto content. Thank you so much for watching.